Welcome to Valiant Rabbit Workshop. Let's make something. Today, we're going to make some bookends. So for a while there, my wife and I were frequenting furniture shops on a regular basis, and she would always stop by the decor section and point out the little animal figurines. They were always very simple sculptures, but quite elegant. So I figured for her birthday I could make her something in a similar vein, maybe with a little bit more of my style. I chose to do a rabbit and a cat sort of as a representation of our pets. The first pet we actually owned together was a little female dwarf lop rabbit. Her name was Luciana. This is her in her headless horseman Halloween outfit. Currently we're taking care of about 4 community cats that we got vaccinated and fixed. So there's Pigushi, Choripan, Diamond, and Smidgy. You can check out their Instagram. Every once in a while we'll post new pictures. If you were wondering about what program I was using, this is ZBRUSH, but you can really use any sculpting program that you have available. There are some that are free and some that are quite pricey. These sculpts are pretty simple as far as the details, so most programs should be able to get the job done. I had a pretty clear idea in my head of what I wanted to do, so I didn't feel like I needed to sketch it out first. In fact, I'm sketching here in 3D, which is actually one of the processes I really enjoy. Now this here you're actually viewing in real time. I'm adding a chamfer to this cube that I'll use as a key to plug different pieces of the print together. The chamfer in theory will help put the pieces together and pull them apart without breaking the key. What you're seeing here is me using a process in ZBRUSH with this cylinder to create basically an inside wall for the cat. Basically means I'm hollowing it out and adding a thickness between the outside and the inside shell. So here you'll see I'll separate the 2 shells, and now we're looking at the interior shell. As you can see, it kind of has a few little jaggedy spots there in the mouth, so you want to take your time and really clean little bits of geometry that are sticking out like that, because they could be very problematic for the printer. You don't want floating bits, and you don't want little tiny pieces of geometry that are folding into themselves weirdly, because it could actually make your print fail. Now here you're basically seeing me do the same process for the body. So the reason I wanted to hollow it out and actually have kind of a space between an inner wall and an outer wall is it allows me to have the center of the model be completely empty. What this does is it allows me to save a ton of material when it comes to printing, because the entire inside, instead of printing support material on an FDM printer, which you'll see me use later, it'll leave that empty and actually add the supports between the inner wall and the outer wall. Now the final part I'm doing here is kind of the same as the head. I'm finding geometry that might be problematic and just deleting it. That music you're hearing was written and performed by my great friend Quinn. Not only is he a great musician, he's an amazing artist who can draw, paint, sculpt, traditionally and digitally. I highly recommend you go check out his Instagram page. The link is above and down in the description. So here you can actually see what I was talking about. Between the inner wall and the outer wall, you see the printer lay in all the support material, instead of doing it throughout the entire inside of the model. Now I'm always testing out new tools to use for cleanup with the prints. This is literally my least favorite part of the process, is cleaning up these prints, trying to get rid of those print lines. And you'll see in this little kit, they all have kind of a different shape to the filing section, which allows you to kind of create curves or get into small little spots. It was quite handy actually. And of course, there's always removing support material. Look at that, just that easy. Just kidding, I had removed that earlier. If only it was that easy, right? So here you see I find a pretty flat area that has pretty strong layer lines, and I file away. This was really a test. I wanted to see how long do I need to file this to get it smooth. And to be honest, it was longer than I wanted to do it, so I ended up not even bothering. I did end up using this tool later to kind of clean up some of the wood filler material I use. And here you see I'm cleaning up some problem areas that the cat body had in the elbow and on the leg. This is a great little gadget I got myself. It's a tiny little vacuum, and it's great for picking up all the little dust and particles that fall off when you're filing or sanding, so you don't get them all stuck on your hand. Now this is a process I've used in the past. You can check out this video where I use wood filler to kind of fill in problem areas. Something else that can come in handy is this epoxy clay. This one's Magic Sculpt. You basically mix an equal amount of clay from each bucket, and that will give you a malleable clay to work for about an hour. As you can see here, I'm using it to fill spots where the printer had some problems, or more likely I just didn't place my supports properly. After an hour or so, the clay starts hardening, and after 24 hours it's pretty much as hard as a rock. The good thing about it too is that it's sticky, so it will stick to the plastic from the printer. Here you see me filing off some of the excess wood filler that we put in earlier and let dry. This stuff is particularly good for sections of your FDM prints where there were a lot of supports, as they tend to leave behind not so good looking parts. Now I'm not a master printer, so I don't have my settings dialed in perfectly. I tend to get some of these little fibers sticking out of my prints. So I hit them with the heat gun and they melt right into the part. Since these will be holding up books, we're going to need some weight. I finally have a reason to crack open this rusty bag of screws. And of course we'll add some sand to fill every nook and cranny. Do a little cleanup on the parts to get them ready for paint. Then we add some more of our epoxy clay to cover the hole where the sand is. A little Gorilla Glue. And we reattach the head permanently. Then we just use a bit more of that epoxy clay to fill in the gap for the neck, so we have a smooth transition and it looks like one nice solid piece. So I had a goal in mind when making this cat and bunny. One was for the rabbit to be alert, as it is a prey animal, and for the cat to be almost nonchalant about his job of holding up the books, since that's how cats tend to behave. So for paint, I just chose to hit these guys with a white primer. I put in several coats, and then I hit them with a matte sealer. And if you were wondering, yes, I am wearing Grumpy from Snow White pajama pants. Please, if you've made it this far, like and subscribe. I hope you enjoy the final result.